Okay, so here's a quick lesson on Weezer's Island in the Sun. I did a playthrough playing guitar 1, which is the guitar parts that stand out in the tune. During the verses, that is guitar 2 part. I've also included a link to a really great lesson video on YouTube. If you want to check it out, it's got tablature and all of that in it. I'm going to walk through the tune really quickly, play through it, and then give you a quick lesson. So let's take a look at the guitar part that I played along with in the album. Again, there's a link in the description below of a YouTube video with all of the tablature for this. If you want the tablature, go look that up. I suggest you pay attention to this lesson first and to get some insights and understanding behind what's going on with this guitar part. So the guitar 1 part is a lead guitar part. There's portions of this song where the guitar part stands out and it's really prominent in the mix, it's in your face. And then there's times when it sits back in the mix and it's not as in your face, like when the singer is singing. And then there's some shared roles between the guitar and the singer where the guitar is almost right behind the singer in terms of the mix. This is the art form of playing guitar in a band. This is how it works. In a live situation, you have to be very careful about it. And, in a studio, they're able to turn knobs and make everything work. But when you're working with a band live, you have to be very aware of your volumes and when you're standing out and when you're not. And the best control that you have is your volume pot on your electric guitar. That's the best tool you have on your guitar to help you know to stand out when you need to and to be sitting back in the rhythm roll when you need to do that. Okay, so let's take a look at this little riff that the guitar plays the whole, very often in the intro, and it comes back quite a bit. It's on the first 3 strings, so we get this nice chimey, and it's real bright, and when I have the rhythmic things in between the riff, that little thing where I'm muting the strings is right there on those high strings as well. So you get this percussive, nice kind of shaker, or you could look at it as a snare drum. It's sort of like a shaker, really. The timbre of that little percussive, it's happening on 2 and 4, I think. You got that 1 and 3 and 1 and 3. You got that little percussive thing happening between it. In order to get all of that stuff in there, you have to be able to pump your left hand, right, where I'm letting go of the strings with my left hand. Here's what happens if I don't let go. Excuse me. Right? Or I let go. And I can pump with the left hand. I'm doing all the muting with the left hand. Here's what it sounds like if I didn't pump. Here's what it sounds like with pumping. Big difference. There's an energy to that second example rhythmically that pushes things, better. You got this nice, almost like horns, playing little hits, and that skill of being able to pump comes into play. There's also the thing that comes into play with the right hand down here, where I'm muting with my palm. And sometimes when I come down for the percussive thing, my palm and my left hand both are muting the strings. And sometimes it's just my palm, sometimes it's just my left hand. I'm not sure what the specificity is. I think what you have to do for yourself is find out what works best for you with this little riff. Right? And get that down where it sounds really precise, percussive, chimey, and rhythmic with this sort of rhythmic punch. In a way, this is a lead rhythm guitar riff. He's playing lead guitar, but with chords. Okay? So there you go. That little riff comes back many times in the tune. I think it's only going to sound right if you play it on the first 3 strings. And, you can vary up what you're doing with your muting and pumping and all to try to figure out for yourself what works the best for you. Best of luck. Okay, so the next thing with guitar 1 that's comes up in the tune is when we go into the rhythm guitar part where there's actually singing. So I am hearing this as just open chords. And that's the strum pattern that I'm hearing and that I'm playing. And I think it's really pretty advanced, because the idea again here is that I'm using my right hand to get instead of, which is still pretty advanced. I'm using all open strings, but every now and then I'm doing down. There's like little short downs and longer ups, and to make that feel like I think it should feel like the song. I messed up. Yeah, it's like, there's all these variations of when I'm going down and when I'm going up. The continuous motion of the right hand is what you want to get used to doing. You don't want to try to think specifically about this. I think you just get your motion going with your right hand, and you get the best you can with that strum pattern. Right? And that's the subdivisions that I'm doing. Ba, da, ga, da, 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 ga, da, ga, da, da, ga, da, 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 ga, da, ga, da, da, ga, da, 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 ga, da, ga, da, ga, da, 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 ga. Right? It's that sort of thing. Da, da, ga, da, 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 ga, da, ga, da, da, ga, da, 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 ga, da, ga, da, da, ga, da, 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 ga. Right? There's a lot of syncopation in there where, you know, the rhythms are happening between the beats. Da, da, ga, da, 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 ga. Like those last da, 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 ga are all not on the beat. So it's relatively sophisticated in that manner. You've got a lot of syncopation. It's partially what makes the rhythms cool is syncopation. We all love that stuff. It doesn't matter what style of music you're playing or what genre, the syncopation is what we really love. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is once you get that rhythm down, da, da, ga, da, 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 ga, da, ga, da, you know, and you can play that, then I'm going to use my right hand to do a variation of muting to give it a little bit more rhythmic interest. Doing that same percussive thing. You know, you get a little percussive every now and then as a result of the muting, and it adds just a nice little rhythmic nuance to the strum pattern that's not just, you know, notey things. There's actual like rhythmic sounding things that kind of like a shaker or something is in there with the rhythm guitar part. And that can be quite difficult to get that going and to feel steady about that. But you just got to keep trying and keep practicing, keep going after it, and eventually you'll land on the things that work for you. These are the things I feel like that work for me. They're probably standard, it's probably across the board, but I know that they work for me because I'm using them every day. I back up on Sundays, I have to back up a singer. And this role, what I'm doing as a rhythm guitar player, is what my primary function is. And I enjoy being able to create interesting rhythms and try to make the song sound interesting with just one guitar. So to me, that's an art form in and to itself that's really quite fun. Okay, so now we're going to get into the arpeggio section. I'm going to mention again that the video below, there's a link to a description of a guy who did a video with the tablature. Be sure to look that up because he's got the tablature written out. I am not going to take the time to do the tablature. I'm just going to show you the lick, and I'm going to talk to you about what makes it interesting and what can be a little bit difficult about it. But we're playing an E on the third string and a G on the second. That's 9 and 8. For this first one, and I'm doing down ups on this, so I'm going down on the G string and up on the B. To me, that feels natural. It's sort of like the rhythm guitar, like continuous motion technique. My hand just feels good when I'm doing that. You could do it with all downstrokes as well. The down up just feels better to me, so I'm using down ups the whole time. And we have that little syncopated thing with the G, that's a bar over 7/7, and then the next thing is we keep the 7 on the, or with F sharp and D on the second and third string, 7/7, and then the last little arpeggio is a G arpeggio, and the only thing we change is we put our second finger back on the 8 for the second string, and the first finger plays the 7th on the third string or a D. So you have E, G, D, F sharp, and D and G. Learn your note names. Get them down, man, because they really do help with, you know, orienting yourself on the guitar. All right, so what we have here is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. That G comes in on the end of 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. That's what makes this little arpeggio line interesting. It's also what makes it slightly difficult to play. You've got to get that. It would be good for those of you who are not used to counting to just count this 8th note line and get it where you can count and play it like I do. Really simply, very smoothly, with a strong sense of ease and comfort. And it's not difficult to think and do it at the same time. Once you've ironed that sort of thinking process out, then you've developed a new sense of rhythmic awareness. You know, you're able to play and count something that's slightly sophisticated. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and you get used to that and too, so there's some syncopation. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And then the next thing that's really, I guess, most difficult about this is you do that and then you got to go straight back to sometimes you got to get back to that from there, okay? All right, so that's the other part of guitar 2. Just real quickly, guitar 1, excuse me, that's the other part of guitar 1. Guitar 2, what's guitar 2 doing? I think the entire song guitar 2 is just playing open chords in the open position, okay? I'll talk about guitar 2 in the next video a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to get into the chorus with the distortion, and I just want to say really quickly up front that what they're doing in the chorus on the recording has so much distortion, there's so much saturation that I can't really hear what kind of strum patterns they're doing. You know, if they're doing that kind of thing, or if they're just going and just playing like straight half notes or even whole notes, because there's so much distortion and so much saturation. So what I'm going to do as an example of doing the chorus, I'm going to do one version where I play it with rhythmic interest, as if I'm just trying to make it as interesting as possible on the rhythm on an acoustic guitar, and then I'll go back and do it with a simplified version. And either way, every time you get through this chorus, you're playing one measure of each chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 measures, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So every chord gets one measure, except for the final D gets 2 measures. And then it's back to that intro riff, which you got to be pretty fast switching from the distortion back to clean to get to that riff and make it sound like it's supposed to sound in a live situation. So there's all the challenges to this chorus. Before I go through and do the playing examples, we have how do we actually strum it to make it sound interesting, to keep the energy of the song going. It's hard to tell because the recording has so much distortion. So I'm going to apply what I think is cool to it, and then I'm going to do a simple version. And then the second thing that's challenging about this is getting back from this D chord to the intro. Physically, you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and get back to it, in time. But the other part of that switch is when you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, click. And that click was me hitting the distortion pedal to get the distortion out of my mix and go back to a clean sound so I can play that riff in a way that's actually relevant to the recording. All right, so there's your challenging aspects of the chorus. Those are the things that are going to give you a little bit of trouble. Now I'm going to go through and play it. I'm going to turn it down, I think, a little bit more, and I'm going to play the chorus as if I'm trying to be rhythmically interesting. All right, let's do that one more time. My brain, Okay, so at the end of the chorus, I hearkened back to, I kind of, you know, did a foreshadowing of that rhythm that's going to be coming, but just with the power chord. Okay, now I don't know if they do that on the album. I don't know. I should go listen to a live version probably to find out what they're actually doing live. But now I'm going to play the chorus, give you an example where it's just simple and I'm playing like half notes or whole notes or something, okay? And I'll count my way through it this time. I can control my brain. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, simple version one more time. I can control my brain. 1, 2, 3. Playing quarter notes, accenting the first one. So there's the chorus, and you know, in some different versions. Find your way through it, do it the way that you feel works best for you. All right, so as quickly as possible, I want to go back to what I said earlier about the lead guitar part of guitar one and the art form that is implied in every single instrument in this piece of music. This music is not complex. These guys are not trying to play at the height of musicianship, playing a million notes a minute. They are using simple musical things to make a song that is vibrant, fresh, and full of energy. This guitar solo is a part of that art form. It's just the melody of the tune. It states it very simply, very straightforward, with very few embellishments. The trick is to be able to use your distortion pedal in a way that's effective, but we're going to get into that. I just wanted to make sure that I stated very clearly that this art form is absolutely awesome and it's simple. And that's part of what makes it so cool, is that it's simple and straightforward. That's what this solo is. So let's get into the solo and let's look at the practical applications of playing this solo in a live setting. Okay, so if we're talking about the practical application of being able to play this solo, I'm going to back us up all the way to the chorus, because that comes before the solo, where we have a lot of rich saturation, and we finish that chorus on a D power chord with a lot of saturation. Then we're clicking to the clean channel for this, and we play through that 2 times, and then we're clicking back to the distortion for the solo. Right? And then we're clicking again very quickly at the end of the solo to get to the arpeggios. And when you get back to those arpeggios, you got to make sure that you're not so loud that you're overriding the singer. So again, really quickly, again, the process is going to be distortion, solo, chorus, click, rhythmic statement, click to distortion, and then click back to arpeggios. Okay? I'm playing an acoustic guitar, so I'm going to walk us through it by saying the word click. Here we go. Final parts of the chorus leading to the solo. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, click. Click. Okay, so it's in the moment, it's quick. You got to be moving between your channels. All right. All right, so let's talk about the actual notes of the solo. Again, in the description below, there's a link to a video where the guy outlines this stuff in tablature form, and it's really easy to follow, so go check that out. But we've got, as a pickup note, we got that little line, that D or 7 to 9. And then when we go to the 4th string for the next melody, it's open. 0, 0 to 9. Excuse me. Is the line. And then the next time you go back to the 3rd string, it's 0 again. 0, 9. Again with the 4th string, 0, 9. Then you got to get back to that really quickly. It is fast. Getting from the solo back to the arpeggios can be quite a problem. So again, we got 7, 9, 7, 5, 4, 5, 4, 0, 9, 7, 5, 4, 5, 0, 9, 7, 5, 4, 5, 4, 0, 9, 7, 5, 4, 5. Again, check the link in the description if you're interested in seeing the tablature. That video is really great. So the last thing to talk about is the guitar 2 part. The one who's just playing rhythm guitar the whole time and is not standing out. I think that they're playing open chords the whole time on an acoustic guitar on the album. This is going on. That's going on, I think, during all the singing, and when you get to the chorus, you could play. Open chords over the chorus as well. Now the rhythm guitar 2 part of the chorus is just, I don't even know if you can hear it in the mix. It might be there, but the distorted guitar is so heavy that you really basically can only hear it. So the guitar 2 part, in short, is just playing open chords to me the whole time. Oh, excuse me. Now, an alternative way to approach this guitar 2 part could be to play bar chords. You could play it that way. I think that this is inconsistent with what they're doing on the recording with the album, and it's really a matter of whether or not you think this sounds good. As the rhythm guitarist, if you're into this and it sounds better than the open chords, then that's fine. The only thing that I would challenge you to do as a rhythm guitar player is to remember that your role as a rhythm guitar player is 100%, to not exaggerate at all, it's 100% supportive. You are supposed to be in the background. And I think a really good rhythm guitar part often is one that you don't even realize is there until it's gone. And you go, what happened? It's not as full sounding. And you realize, oh, excuse me, I did it wrong. You realize that is out, not in the mix. And without that, the song doesn't sound as full. But you barely noticed it to begin with, right? It was just got right by you because of all the other interesting things going, like drums or singing or lead guitar, or even a really nifty bass line might catch your attention, while the rhythm guitar is back there just doing its thing, supporting everything around it and not trying to stand out at all. So if this bar chord thing is good and it sounds good in the context of the tune, great. If it's doing the supportive role like it's supposed to, great, right? But if it's there to stand out and there to show off in some way, like what you're doing, and you want to secretly be seen, then it's probably not the right thing to be playing. The rhythm guitar, again, has to be supportive. It cannot be a standout thing, unless it's lead rhythm guitar, which we have in this tune. That riff stands out. It's a lead thing. This almost stands out, right? It's almost in the mix prominent enough to be considered a lead role, but there's actually singing going over the top of it, so it has to be somewhat supportive. And in a studio environment, they can tweak that with knobs. But in a live situation, you as the musician have to be aware of your presence. And again, the volume knob on your electric guitar is the best tool you have for being able to adjust where you're at to where you need to be. Are you too loud? Then you need to turn down. If you're too soft, maybe you need to turn up a little bit. So anyway, all right, enjoy Weezer Island in the Sun.